Hello.
We are here in week 2 of Advent, um, and um, and we're again in Linda's lovely home with her lovely little tree.
She's a beauty.
She is just lovely. And one of the things that we wanted to sort of talk about and maybe give permission for an expansion of our thinking was Advent candles, because Advent candles, in the order of 4 candles being lit, have different themes or words associated with them, depending on the church you're in or the denomination you're in. And some of them don't have themes at all. They are not connected at all to the scripture of the day, or it's a construct.
Sure.
That helps
Yes.
people to
Right.
focus on some of the good things, the
Preparation.
in preparation for Christmas, that are not the fake Christmas, as Brueggemann calls it, of the world.
Yes. Right. But my
and-
question for you this afternoon was
right.
And not for the first time I asked you, apparently.
Right. No. And I had no better answer this time
That's
than
okay.
the first time she
That's
asked
okay.
me.
We looked it up. So I wanted to know whether the words for the Advent candles, hope
And
peace, joy, and love, were a United Methodist construct, or
some kind of
some
universal.
other. Yes,
Yeah.
because I know that in my upbringing, well, first of all, it wasn't an American denomination,
Nor was mine.
maybe I thought that was why I wasn't familiar, but as it turns out,
it is pretty much
it is pretty much a
thing.
United Methodist thing, to use those 4 words.
Right. And for example, this week in our 2 things, resources that we're using, Kate Bowler talks a little bit the United Methodist language, and talks about this being the week of peace. Whereas Diane Butler Bass each week takes the scripture, the assigned lectionary scripture for that, usually the gospel for that day, and has a theme that arises out of that may or may not have anything to do with peace, for example.
Yes, because this week it was John the Baptist, and peace is not a word that's readily associated, I think, with him.
Right.
So that was interesting, and interesting also is the fact that each of us was more drawn in by a different one of those resources.
Right.
So
I stayed very comfortable with United Methodism and did the peace thing, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. But
right, and I was drawn to Diana Butler Bass's exposition of wilderness, and some of the things that really spoke to me that she wrote were that wilderness can be perceived as a place of danger, as something
and lack,
chaotic, and also as, for us humans, wilderness is often perceived as something we need to master or tame. And so that's one way to look at wilderness, but it's also a refuge to hide away. If you need to hide away somewhere, it can shelter you in that way, and a place where people sometimes go to find themselves, or to find God, in the barrenness of the desert. And I guess I would just say that is the way that I look at the wandering that the nation of Israel had to do in the wilderness
Mm.
for 40 days. It took them at least that long to figure out who they were and what they were about.
Mm-hmm.
Before they were allowed to proceed into
Right.
the promised land.
Right.
So the other thing that whole a place to hide and a place where we find ourselves reminded me of was I remember a program called Outward Bound. That was a program for young men who were experiencing difficulty integrating into their communities, into their families, whatever it was. And the short form of Outward Bound description is that for a pretty lengthy amount of days, um, these young men were dropped off alone. In the wilderness. I remember the talk being of the forests of Colorado, but maybe there were other places too. In order to learn to survive in the wilderness and to um, move them into a time, like we talked about last week, a time of deep introspection. Um, And the interesting thing is that as these young people made peace with nature, and I use that word intentionally, peace, they also were able to internalize that peace, and they came to a place of peace themselves. So I don't know, that all kind of helped me to figure out the whole wilderness thing.
Right. And ironically, she uses that word peace and matches it with the United Methodist system of Advent candles. But what I discovered with was with my looking at the piece with Kate Bowler was that she has this image at one point of peace being confrontational, and that was not what I had thought of when I thought about peace. And so as the two of us have learned this week, and we encourage you to learn, is that sometimes it pays to look at things completely differently in a whole new way. If you're United Methodist, then go look at somebody who's not, and so anyway, there's a richness in expanding your view, and my view of peace was richly expanded with Kate Bowler's stuff this week, because she talks about peace not necessarily being quiet and restful, and with the image of a retreat by the lake that many of us are familiar with, or a warm candlelit bathroom, being a kind of retreat and a time of peace. She talks about it being much richer than that. And so what happened for me this week was that there was a little phrase in that reading she did about peace and confrontation that said called me to listen for a tug of unrest. If I'm seeking peace, the last thing I want is to pay attention to a tug of unrest. And yet, what I discovered was, if I pay attention to the tug of unrest, which in my life is usually a squirrely brain, just too busy, way too busy thinking and not emptying oneself. And what she wrote was this. She said, when you feel that tug of unrest today, pause. Don't fix it. Don't numb it. Just ask, pull me back, God. And as I practiced that during the day, it dawned on me that that was that God's presence was peaceful, even if I was being confronted about something squirrely in my brain, or something in my soul that is not right. That peace is not a product, but a process. We said that last week about all manner of things like Advent, but
Right.
it really is true in this time, and so for me that tug of unrest is a sort of a hook to stop me in my tracks, to pause, and not try to fix it or numb it or ignore it, but to pay attention. And paying attention is peace, in many ways. Yeah. So
Yeah.
and I would offer this week our blessing for you, also from Kate Bowler, because I know that many of you also find peace hard to find, especially in this season when frequently we are burning the candle at both ends.
Or having to deal with a circumstance which makes us feel unpeaceful.
Right. Whatever the tug of unrest is in your life,
Right.
as it is in ours, may this blessing go with you this week. Blessed are we, the restless ones, some striving and some exhausted, and some dealing with circumstances, who discover that peace was never a prize to be won, but a God who will not let us go. Peace be with you.
Yes. Peace be with you. Till next week.